Okay, let me see if I get to this part 7 real quick. See, these start getting a little bit more views. Look, I got 1,000 comments 4 days ago. They can still do an autopsy on Easy Body. See, the one about the one about Easy now that I actually do gotta because this they were talking about this at the time I did this, but I think his daughter and the mom did one. Come, I don't know if it's done yet or they already did it. What is it? A documentary? I know I saw clips of it, but I don't know if it's been like the whole thing's been put out or not. But yeah, they had another documentary. I'm not sure what it's going to be called, but looking into Easy's death, I think it might have been on like a television network. But I don't have cable or anything like that, so I don't know what it'd be. But I think a lot of these might be about um Easy's death. So let's see. Say Easy had bronchitis or something like that. And that's why he sounded like he did, because I rap along these music sound like a wonder. But never got checked. Rap music, great positive, safe youngsters. Rappers could be positive. I mean, yeah, rap. I mean, yeah, but the responsibility falls on the shoulders of rappers since they have the voice and popularity. But I mean, you can't never put the responsibility on entertainers to do politics. Really, I mean, if it happens, great. But I mean, it has to be the people in the community, um, and leaders educated. I mean, you don't have to necessarily be like formally educated, but obviously like just self-educated, or people who are more aware um and more studied in politics. Rappers can be that, but you know sometimes not, or most of the time not. I mean, it's just a talent. It's like a rap. Like, not everybody who's going to be intellectual is going to be a rapper. And not everybody who could sing or has a good voice, or can write poems and rhymes and stuff like that is necessarily going to be like a revolutionary like thinker. I mean, so one has to do one, the other could do the other. If you get them both together, that's great. But it's the best thing I've seen regarding Easy's death. I don't know. I don't. I don't know if there was much, but yeah, the best ballot interviews are the ones where 80% of us edited. JDL, Jewish Defense League killed Easy. I mean, that's a theory, I guess. Well, I think the thing about Snoop Dogg is because Snoop Dogg claimed to be Snoop Dogg even more than Pac. I think Pac. I don't. I mean, they try to get Pac when like, oh, he said this or that in a song or whatever. But I mean, everybody knew Tupac wasn't in a gang. I mean, Snoop Dogg is a kind of a different story. Okay, well made documentary. Oh, that's 3 months ago. It's good. Still 3 months ago. See what this person has to say. I never believed that the AIDS sickness. Um, okay, the death certificate did actually say from complications of AIDS, because they're obviously going. It doesn't matter how you die, how the hospital people want to say you died. That's how you died. Because the doctor, whoever signs off on a death certificate, they're going to put whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to, if you want to dispute like someone's death, anybody's, you have to get the like an autopsy, or some other like third party, if whatever is available, independent even, autopsy, or um diagnosis and stuff like that. If you want to dispute, because they'll just lie on a death certificate and put whatever. But yeah, it's always going to be cardiac arrest because your heart's going to stop when you die, and they will say because of complications um from the AIDS virus, because that was what they wanted to say that was the reason he died. Or they'll say that they could say that for like anything that they want to say for that, like they were doing during COVID, for example. See, and the other one that actually, this the one dude actually did claim that some, but I don't know if they actually showed it because I said I was just watching the clips. But where the mother and daughter went and talked to a guy from an AIDS clinic, I think it might have been, and he said that, oh yeah, some girls came in there but they're still alive to like, easy at 20 million, $30 million or however much he had. And couldn't afford to beat the AIDS virus, but these girls who obviously would never known they had it either somehow managed to, like, because I mean whatever. Yeah, but the AIDS thing and the HIV thing is a whole nother game, a whole nother game. Same with Kurt Cobain. That's interesting because a lot of people don't know about Kurt Cobain being killed. So saw how Freddie Mercury looked. He was gay though, right? Freddie Mercury. Yeah, I mean that doesn't really have anything to do with him, but um, how he died or anything, but um, I'm not okay. I'm not gonna get into that. Never mind. So I'm not gonna get into that, but um, AIDS looked the same all the way through. That's not how AIDS works. Well, if you do have a weakened immune system, you're going to look like a person with a weak immune system. Yeah, because AIDS is technically defined by like the weakening of the immune system, acquired immune deficiency syndrome. So they're looking at the immune system being weakened, right? That's why they have problems in Africa and stuff, where they were just going and diagnosing people with AIDS. And you could watch like videos and stuff on this, documentaries and stuff, and they're asking them like, well, how do you like? I mean, you're dealing with people in like a impoverished area. You're dealing with people with a whole bunch of other diseases and stuff. Like, how do you know that their immune system's not weak because of like malnourishment? You're just coming in and saying, and like how they were using that AIDS surveillance to basically just say like like kind of like they did during COVID, like everybody who got sick and died happened to have COVID. Um, the same like with AIDS, it was like going in and saying, with no proper ability to diagnose and differentiate, people who had weak immune systems because they were malnourished, who had other diseases, such as hepatitis or whatever else and stuff like that or whatever. It doesn't matter. But platinum blacks. We talk about Pac. Pay the man, give him his money, and his 5 million sold. Call me crazy, but there's something sound like COVID-19. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and all this time I thought Dre was the one who came up with the Stones and the Chronic stuff. I mean, you can't hate Dre too much. Dre was talented. Dre was definitely a talent. All the people who talk about Dre, respect his craft and what he was able to do in the studio as a producer. But yeah, he had help. I mean, that's why they were such good albums. I mean, that's how you create good music. I mean, if you get a whole team of people contributing to a project, I mean, that's good. That's good. You want that. And you want the project to be great. Only complication comes when it comes time to give people credit and it comes time to pay, publishing royalties and all the other stuff. and then you wouldn't have start having disputes. And when it's time for the popularity, to say, "Oh, Dre produced it," when other people contributed drums and samples and ideas and everything else. Nostalgic, the '90s. Yeah, I was a kid during the '90s, so there's nostalgia a little bit from the '90s, but I don't really have it like that. Song called Jackin' for Beats. I forget who did the Jackin' for Beats, but I do remember that. Ice Cube. And that's Ice Cube. But there was a wasn't there like a mixtape series or something called Jackin' for Beats in like the 2000s or something like that? I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, yeah. That's the first thing I noticed. When you see the doctor, because I just showed a clip of the doctor. Yeah, the first thing you notice is the way that doctor looked, you could tell that he was like shook, like like he wasn't. Yeah, like you could tell like his demeanor and stuff. And he actually died. That doctor, when you look it up, actually died. I, I don't know if I want to say under suspicious circumstances, but I just say potentially because he was kind of young, and I forget what it was, like a heart attack or something like that. Kind of obviously being a doctor, that's kind of like he didn't look like kind of out of shape or anything, and I'm pretty sure he was young. So yeah, that was kind of strange too. He threatened everybody. I don't know. So well, I mean, I don't know if people were afraid of Suge. I mean, certain people were afraid of Suge, but and Suge did try to intimidate certain people too. But Suge was intimidating and threatening a lot of record label people. Not surprised about the Black Mafia life. Dre, yeah, Dre's kind of weird sometimes. I don't know what the thing with the roses thinks about. I don't know that person, but I guess that was nice. And another thing about that too is that they were all doing that, right? Because they want to try to, say, "Oh, Easy was, out, doing whatever with all these girls." I mean, but so was everybody else. And like Yella and Dre, Dre, Michelle A talks about what Dre was doing. Obviously, when they were together, Dre was out there, and Dre got a lot of kids too. I don't know who has more out of Dre and Easy, but Dre kind of like flies under the radar with that type of stuff sometimes. Yeah, it does. His symptoms do match COVID a lot, don't they? So, or certain other things like that. But then that's pneumonia symptoms too. I mean, I don't want to try to deny to say that Easy didn't have pneumonia because I think he might have got he might have caught um a cold or pneumonia during the winter months, or that he might have had bronchitis or something like that, or yeah, something like that. To finish the story, Easy's death. No, I left it hanging like that intentionally because I don't want to go too much into speculation. I want to just try to stick with what is kind of out there as far as what was known and what people near the situation, because I wasn't going to be able to dig too deep into it as far as to find out any more details. So I just want to kind of give what we know, and I think that's enough a lot of the times because sometimes people want the specifics, and there's a problem with that. Um, people who are in investigations, people who want to go deep into that type of stuff. It's great on certain issues. I'll go deeper than others. Um, but I'm not like uh that wouldn't be me on this. Okay, let's see where I was at. The Nation of Islam were not nowhere near Orthodox Islam or the real Islam. But do not associate with Islam. I guess, well, yeah, I mean, that's sort of true. A lot of the people who left, obviously went back to Orthodox Islam. He needs to be held accountable for Easy's death. Suge, I mean, Suge knows a lot, probably. That's probably part of the reason why he's in jail now, because he knows probably a lot that happened during this time that he could expose if he wanted to, or given opportunity. Sometimes he does. Like Suge has a lot of interviews that he's done where he drops little nuggets here and there. Definitely, when I was doing this, a lot of the information came from Suge. They talk about that signing thing in the other documentary thing that I mentioned about that they did with his daughter and stuff. So they did some of the people who were there. I'm not sure how accurate the information was, but because obviously the people could have been lying, but they was talking about him signing and stuff like that. Should rename it clips from Vlad. What? People would just come along and make these weird comments. Because like in this one, most of the clips I don't think were from Vlad. Well, I mean, I don't know numbers wise, but uh, the two other clips are from other channels. Some of them were from Sway in the Morning. Some of them were from the Info Minds and stuff like that. I heard Eazy was going broke though. No, they even showed in the one that I was talking about with his daughter and stuff. One of the clips showed um the will and his assets and stuff like that, and just like it corroborated what other people already said. Jerry and other people, I think he was leaving behind like 20 million or something like that. So that's hardly broke. And you have to keep in mind the record label was obviously going to do even better and better because Bone Thugs was just like blowing up, or they were set to go to be even bigger. And then obviously let's talk about getting NWA and stuff back together. That would have been big. He's talking about the late night interview that Suge did. The first 6 episodes. They should know about that. Come on, bro. It's on the channel. I think the Chronic's great. I mean, it doesn't matter what you think of Dre or what you think of Snoop or what you think of anybody else. I mean, the album's great. It sounds like incredible. It sounds good. It sounds great. Like just the way even that it, like, yeah, this is sonically, that's something that Dre's known for. And I mean, it comes through in the Chronic. I mean, it just sounds good. You could always have a funeral and then cremate. But I don't know. Dope content. Dude should give Drake credit. Dude should give Drake credit. Why does this sound like COVID? I know once the COVID thing hit, because I did this before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then yeah. But if you look at the AIDS, and then you look at COVID, Fauci and stuff like that, the people who were the same type of people who were involved in the AIDS stuff were involved in the COVID stuff, CDC, and stuff like that. Yeah, Suge. Yeah, like I said, Suge did have the info. I mean, Suge sometimes just says stuff. Who does it trace to? I mean, I don't. I mean, the doctors, the hospital, and that's where he died. Um, but as far as what they did to him, I mean, there's. I don't know. I can't speak to that. Maybe they should have went over his body. See, when I mentioned the other thing before with like the Jack Ruby situation, also with Bob Marley, um, some like people like I don't know if I should say it. They had theories of when during the Kennedy years where they were developing like things to give people cancers, right? So you could inject somebody and then like cancer would spread and these basically spread like high concentrated like carcinogens into their body, like overwhelm their immune system, and like cancer would grow like just rapidly fast, like and they said just like it was said that they developed something like within 30 days or something people could die of cancer, and it would just like overwhelm their bodies. And they said there were incidents where certain individuals they talked about how the doctors or whatever found like more cancer in their bodies than they ever seen, like it was just unbelievably just high amounts of cancer spread throughout their entire bodies when they died. um and then obviously that affects your lungs a lot too. Like if you get like the cancer develops in your you like get like cancerous like embolisms or whatever, I don't know what they're called, whatever you get in your like lungs and stuff. Dude, just let it rip like he ain't doing an interview. I don't know what he's talking about, but that first song sounds like more G-Funk intro of Doggy Style than Dre's. It probably was. Dre produced that produced on Doggy Style though, but 3-6 verses. 3-6 Mafia, as you talk about. I don't know if he is cremated or not. I don't know about that. I never really cared about that. Sounds like Eazy-E died of COVID. He really did have AIDS. See, the thing is, you got to look into HIV/AIDS generally. And Eazy had money. No person with money was about to die of AIDS back then. And a lot of people forget that Eazy had AIDS, was diagnosed, um, or I mean, he would have had it and stuff like that after even Magic. And see, they switched the timelines on AIDS too, right? They switched it from, oh well, you get it, you have weeks, then months, then years, then like tons of years before the virus develops. We're talking about like an incubation type period, like basically where you get it, you get sick, like you have like a cold or flu, like shortly, your body like gets rid of the virus, like just like a 24-hour, cold or flu or something like that. Your body gets rid of the virus, your immune system attacks the virus and defeats it. But then all of a sudden, years later, you develop like your immune deficiency once the your T cells or whatever drop. But wait, what? So I figured out the mystery. He did have AIDS. What? This must be two separate comments. I don't think he died of AIDS because I was watching an interview with his daughter where she said they never did an autopsy and never showed proof. In HIV, father does not pass the virus to unborn fetus. Right. But see, look at Magic Johnson though. He has found out HIV positive, but never developed AIDS and is doing perfectly fine today, right? And he probably had, I mean, talk about going broke. I mean, you could argue that about Magic way before you could argue about that with Eazy. It's not like NBA players back then were getting the contracts they're getting today and endorsement deals and stuff like that. Like today, um, Jordan started a lot of that, got that a lot of stuff rolling, and a lot of them, had other issues and stuff off the court. But then you obviously had Eazy situation, and Eazy, like was going, had probably had a doctor and stuff like that. So I mean, and once he got no, well, I mean, he basically went to the hospital straight in, and they said, "Oh, he had AIDS, he's going to die," which is absolutely just insane in and of itself. So I mean, that's pretty much the insane part. But yeah, then nobody caught it. It wasn't just that the mother didn't catch it, who was pregnant recently, obviously because the child was born. I think she was pregnant at the time. Follow the money, Jerry Heller. Yeah, they probably wrote the final statements together. Always act like they punked somebody. Nobody from Death Row was a real G with 7-8 dog. I mean, I don't think I don't think Tupac ever acted straight, but obviously he didn't grow up rich or anything like that. But I mean, he didn't act like. I mean, I don't know. I guess people just perceive what they want to perceive. I guess about Pac sometimes. Oh yeah, Pac never. Yeah, okay. So he just say never cleaned anything but a thug. But yeah, I mean, yeah, COVID-19. Another person missed COVID. Yeah. See, yeah, Dre definitely deserves credit, but for the stuff like that, he said number of kids that are AIDS free went from 9 to 11. He said he thought Snoop was the dude from Above the Law. So why is she getting away with it? Yeah, right. Oh, the money. Easy had COVID-20. It sounds like he had COVID. A lot of these people sound like he had COVID. It's hilarious. Well, see, people were COVID were dying of pneumonia. He probably did have like pneumonia or something like that, bronchitis or something. But that's perfectly like you just go to the hospital if it's bacterial or if it's bacterial, they just do whatever. If it's viral or if it's bacterial, they give you antibiotics and stuff if it's viral or whatever. But he probably did have some type of pneumonia or something like that, where he went on that trip that on the winter or whatever. But or like if they said could have been bronchitis or something like that. But that will give you symptoms like that. Hmm. And Snoop went to prison. People ever see that? Or he said did a year in county. People ever see that? What is that movie? Is it called like The Departed or something? That type of stuff. The two type of people you got to watch out for is people that have a prior military experience and people who have an arrest before they start entering into something. Because either way, you're dealing with certain individuals that can sway you in a particular way. Let's just say. I think Eazy would have survived it back then. If Eazy would have had HIV, he would have lived. He had money. And as far as I know, he didn't take like AZT or anything. Yeah, I think that was true too about just wanting to say it was AIDS. Because they could have said anything. They could have said, yeah. I mean, they didn't have to say it was AIDS because I was kind of agreed. Like even if he was like, just say he was killed, like why say it's AIDS? So yeah, that was part of another agenda, definitely. Because they could have said like heck, even pneumonia. People can die. You could die of pneumonia, without having AIDS. If you have a weakened immune system or just I mean whatever else, but I mean you could have a weakened immune system without having HIV and AIDS, or um I mean they could have just said that he died during surgery or whatever else, but or I mean they could have gave a whole bunch of different excuses. Could have said he just had a heart attack or something. A lot of speculation as far as a YouTube medium by the name of Shoal Sloan Bella uncovered 18 apparently was set up with COVID-19 symptoms. I'll just take a look at maybe that. I don't know what that's about. That had to be later because they were talking about COVID symptoms because that would have been afterwards. Yeah. I watched this 3 times to really understand the content. Best I watched it for. That's nice. We just say see your radio play and stuff like that. Yeah, they did have. I mean, yeah, there were definitely different events that led to the Beastie Boys probably definitely contributed, but definitely Rick Rubin and Run DMC, like the Aerosmith stuff when they did Walk This Way, whatever it's called, that contributed. But then yeah, definitely the NWA definitely contributed to the commercialization as far as crossing over and it being you know uh like the alternative rock type people listening to it, and then kind of like swaying back into the white public for it to be popular enough to be pushed like to the general public as like more popular music. Yeah, another comment of hope lad. Yeah, well, I don't know if that's stupid. I just think he has his own little agenda sometimes. Big pun, big L. I mean, Jam Master Jay, Scott LaRock. Yeah, someone else mentioned that too, and I want to see Easy like that. He said Easy Jerry wasn't stealing as he was. See, that's one of them type of things that, yeah, I didn't really get to the bottom of that either. As far as where Jerry was stealing, I mean, I wouldn't put it past him. I definitely think that he had some type of involvement. I think Jerry's a lot like Suge. He probably had some type of little involvement. It just wasn't, fooling. Like they want to try to blame it all on him. That definitely it wasn't all on him. Obviously, there's other powers above Jerry, above Suge. His second manifest itself in a different cell that came out of asthma he already had. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that he was hit with something. to deteriorate pretty fast. You would well, there's no such thing as an AIDS virus. Obviously, it's HIV, but HIV doesn't. I don't know what would happen if you did a lot of it, but HIV, your body defeats it. Like that, like the argument for how it even operates is your body defeats the virus like right away. Like it's not a virus that it's not an infectious virus really like that. Like it's not like see viruses have like how infectious they are and how what kind of symptoms they cause. Um like there's certain viruses and stuff that are just kind of like benign and they just die off. Like that's why okay. That's why they run experiment like what they did with COVID and stuff. That's why they would run them experiments in the labs and stuff, right? They call it gain of function. Where in laboratories they try to get viruses to become more infectious and more deadly. So what you have to do is you have to get the virus to like replicate at a faster pace and spread through the like a population of like something. That's why they said bats because bats live like really close together. So you basically get a population of say animals, rats, or something like that. You could get like locked into like a enclosed area, so where they keep passing it and spreading it, and you could keep taking the virus and then like kind of like extracting it and then re-injecting it, extracting it, re-injecting it, and just trying to get like the spread of the virus to accelerate, and then it eventually like because it's accelerating and reproducing, an infectious strain will pop up, and that infectious strain you can just keep taking, and it'll become over time become more infectious and spread throughout the population and become you could even take like a virus that doesn't have any like negative effect at all. Because what happens is that it happens from mutation, right? So the virus will mutate, but most mutations in nature that happen with viruses um, are not good because obviously people have immune systems, animals, have immune systems, plants have their own like ways of fighting off. So viruses aren't just going to like become like stronger in nature because the weaker ones will just be killed off and like they're just dormant. They're not going to do anything. So you have to get them to be able to gain function. That's why they do it in laboratory experiments to get them to be able to gain infectious and be able to spread. And that's why certain individuals, besides the markers, like in the actual virus, thought that the COVID-19 thing came from a laboratory and not naturally because of the way like it functioned like that. Um, because I mean, you wouldn't expect it really, because if viruses were that kind of deadly in the human population or just the animal populations, like we'd be wiped out by now. But see, when the viruses mutate, that's when they mutate and you could take one that's not really infectious and deadly, and once it mutates, it could become that, right? Just that kind of mutation and like natural selection, like and like evolution basically too as well, something like that. So just over a period of time, like it can mutate and become deadly, and that deadly strain, the new strain, like when you hear about a new strain, that's from mutations. Like when you start a new strain of COVID, that's what's happening, and that could either become more infectious or could become less like deadly and less like kind of symptomatic and stuff, but easier to spread. So there's basically like, kind of like the symptoms of it, like what it does to you, and then it spread, and like based on how the virus mutates. And then what else was I thinking? Not the mutation of the virus, but what else is there? Um, okay. So I paused it for a minute. I remember what I was going to say earlier. So yeah, like as far as like the mutations and stuff. So that's actually what happens. Like if you think about it with cancers as well, when you have like cells and stuff like that that become cancerous, like your body will naturally fight off those infections. And like when your cells like degenerate, your body will automatically renew. That's why a lot of people would do like the detoxes and stuff where they go through your cells will start renewing after a while. They talk about the cleanses and stuff like that. Like when you got like them like holistic type doctors and stuff, like they talk about making people go on a fast and changing their diets and stuff like that to clean their systems and like cell therapy and stuff like that. Like the Dr. Stubby stuff. Not all that stuff just like crazy. Like your body will naturally repair itself. Your body will naturally start wiping off like the cancers. It'll naturally like reboost your immune system if you don't have like toxins and stuff in your body. So that's why like it's important like for certain entities to make sure that we keep feeding our bodies with dopamine hits and stress and bad foods and lack of exposure to like sunlight, lack of like social you know um exposure, like stuff like that, like just as much negative stuff as you can as far as carcinogens and stuff like that. That's why I mean people could smoke their whole lives really and not really develop if they have strong immune systems, right? It's all about your immune system. It's all about your overall health and your well being and stuff like that. And you could attack those type of things and cause people to be more depressed, more stressed, um, less nutritious foods, less minerals and vitamins in their bodies, um, and stuff like that. While putting like a lot of the sugars and the all this other cancer carcinogens and bad air, just breathing in, drinking bad like water and stuff like that. Like they have these water crises and stuff where they have bad stuff in their water supplies, all that type of stuff. Because all that stuff attacks your immune system. Because your immune system basically at a certain point can't keep up because it keep getting deteriorated, and then it got all this stuff to fight off. I'm 59-year-old conservative mom to 5. I love Easy. What? Boom Thugs. She died so young. Why is this not 57 comments? That's the way to go, Grandma. I don't know who Richard Rader must have deleted the comment. They didn't got into a whole little rant after this one. Nation of Islam is Illuminati. Starting to believe Tupac was Drake made a beat. Like I mentioned before, like some of that had to do with the fact that Easy was getting paid off all of it. Well, and the studio situation. Because Dre liked to work and be in a studio and like work for a long time, but they kind of had that hostile environment up at Can-Am, so that had a lot to do with it too. That's a lot of that was real. It was kind of an excuse, but that's a pretty legit excuse if they're doing shenanigans and stuff like that, and you want to be serious. And you got to be in there kind of tough guy in it all the time. People ain't about that, especially like you do Dre. He's not really like a street like that. Like people who aren't really like well, I mean even people who are street like no one wants to be in a hostile environment all the time, bro. Like trying to be like in a place where you can relax and get work done. I don't know what that disabled children thing is. I don't know what that's about. I mean, all the people played a role in all the same people played a role in all their deaths. Remember the Cat Williams interview where they asked him, who shot Suge? Probably the same people who shot Tupac. Some good content. It was a weird. I don't know if it was the weirdest celebrity death. I mean, Michael Jackson was pretty messed up. Prince. I mean, there's a lot. But yeah, it's definitely up there. Kurt Cobain, that was mentioned earlier. That Dre moves to death row, who are on Interscope. Ruthless loses their biggest producer. Tupac bailed out of jail, death row, but the money comes from Interscope. Well, the money came from Time Warner, but yeah, Time Warner was on Interscope. Time Warner was the distribution for Interscope. But see, Death Row was going directly through Interscope for the distribution. So Time Warner owned a piece of Interscope. And then that's why they ended up selling it. See, because Interscope was allowed to act um like by themselves, like independently from uh Warner Brothers. Once Warner Brothers got hit with the gangster rap controversy, and then that's when they sold it over to MCA. Right. Yeah, but they maneuvered the situation though. They maneuvered Dre. I mean, it's the thing about Pac getting out of prison and stuff like that too. I mean, they owed him the money anyway. I mean, his album was going big. They could have just fronted him the money and got it back relatively easily. I mean, it was Pac. He had all them. I mean, you know, was one of the most popular artists in the country. I mean, he had that money easily. They were letting him sit in jail on purpose. Um, and he didn't really like. There was no death like Death Row and Interscope was the same thing anyway. Like there wasn't like the saying that Suge. I mean, this Tupac made a mistake to go with Death Row. I mean, like it was just kind of under that banner. I mean, technically, like as far as like how the albums were being distributed or produced or anything like that, there was literally no difference because Interscope was already fronting money for Death Row, like for to work because as a like distribution label. So and then I mean obviously they was the ones releasing the music anyway. So it was kind of like we even put it under a subsidiary already under the label. I mean it's I mean still you're under the same kind of banner anyway, but you just kind of I mean you're staying under the same label, but it's under like a different. You're just now calling yourself Death Row. I mean Dre kept working with other people too though. Like Dre didn't like I mean obviously he had like early on he had obviously Easy, Ran, Yella, and then Warren G, Daz, Above the Law, and then as time went on, obviously he developed like Mailman, I think it was, and Scott Storch, and like Eminem, obviously produced some of his stuff too. So I mean, he had like a whole like people always like working with him. Dre has a lot of co-production credit. So he kept working with like top talent on beats and stuff. Dre did. That never really went away. So I mean, and he worked with top artists too. That also makes a big difference with your production when you're working with better artists because the songs are just going to be bigger, regardless of how dope the beat is by itself. I'm hoping I'm closing in on the end of this because um, well, I'm not even sure how much I wish because stopped it and restarted it, but Yeah, Suge obviously made that up about the injection thing. He was just saying something. Um, Not that he like it didn't have like any truth behind it, but he wasn't being like literal. Like that's exactly how it happened. He was just saying that those type of technologies exist where you could hit somebody like that. That was his point. Yeah, that's an option too if they hit him with something like that. I mean, anybody could develop pneumonia. Even the types of pneumonias that existed with AIDS patients were rare, but people got them before AIDS ever existed. Yeah, John Lennon, Bob Marley, Kurt Cobain, Hendrix. Yep, yep. Just like Malcolm, JFK, RFK. Yep, yep. To the left, this New World agenda. Yeah, this person's crazy. They always hit you with some of this type of nonsense. Socialism. Yeah, right. Because a lot of people they killed because they were socialists, specifically like the Panthers, like Fred Hampton, like George Jackson, like Paul Robeson, like Pac. So yeah, a lot of people they killed because they were socialists and communists. Not a lot, most of them. Like even the JFK stuff had to do with the fact that they were and obviously Malcolm and Martin Luther King, but the JFK stuff in part had to do with I mean I don't know what percent. I'm not gonna put like a percentage like, but it just some partially had to do with the fact that he was willing to negotiate with like Cuba and the Soviet Union and stuff, where they were trying to go in and kill Castro and overthrow Soviet Union. Like eventually the Soviet Union did collapse with Gorbachev, whatever his name was. What did Dre actually do in the studio? Well, Dre actually did produce it. I mean, he took a lot of their ideas and put them together. I mean, like he, developed and took sounds to make them like sonically, like just like kind of shaped them to be, the best that they could possibly be. So he definitely was a good producer. He just wasn't like a beat maker in that classic sense of, like he kind of went in and made all the like a Dilla or somebody like he had a lot of help with his ideas and stuff. Dang, a lot of these have about COVID. Dang, how many comments has this got, bro? This feels like the most comments of any of the videos. I'm glad put this together. Yeah, he wishes. Dang, this is a long story. I'm gonna read it. Okay, true story. In the 90s, I worked for valet parking. What? I thought he was gonna have some type of deeper point, but that's just a story, I guess. But that's nice though. I've heard weird stories about that hospital. Yeah. Yeah. Cedars. Cedars. Yeah. Yeah. Probably warned them. Yeah. People's trying to. Yeah. Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Dre always had. That's what I mentioned. Murray. Yeah. Mailman. Yeah. Yeah. Ruthless Records was better just because they was Easy actually owned it. Yeah, I didn't have the names each time people talked. I just had them every once in a while. I did have them though, but yeah, I didn't have them every single time. That'd have been kind of rough. But I did try to put the names at least once, but I might have missed some of them. That's just DC5's backdrop. Not anymore though. Whoa. I don't know if he still has the drums back there or not. I haven't seen this video in so long. I forget. Yeah, I mean, it probably was everybody involved. Yeah, if he was on a ventilator, yeah, you can kill someone with the ventilator too. They were doing that during COVID too, killing people with ventilators. If you don't know how to operate, if you operate them improperly or you crank them up too high, even taking someone off the ventilator could mess them up. Like they're for like extreme situations. I mean, it could have been Jerry. I mean, he used the J word. We're not going to use the J word here. Anthrax poisoning. My theory. Well, he did wear condoms, but that doesn't kind of have anything to do with it. So they're going to say he looked sick, but the people who saw him all the time didn't think he looked sick, or people who saw him even every once in a while. His sister's wife reminds me of Carol Baskin, bro. He says too much conspiracy like JFK. Well, there's conspiracies around AIDS too, so you might want to get into that. And JFK stuff was kind of obvious too. He just shot him in the middle of the day, like broad daylight, right in the face, and then people tried to mix some stuff up. Guy was clearly a patsy. He said he was a patsy. The JFK case was like really like simple. Um, at least from the perspective of like I mean, pretty much anybody interested in the JFK case could look and see it was obviously a setup and conspiracy. Yeah, that's a good point to put the viral load being higher. This looks like a see, this is a real account or not? Probably not. But yeah, the HIV/AIDS thing you have to look into generally. That's generally questionable. And was questioned from the beginning. And a lot of the stuff that was put out on it was nonsense, just like COVID. But yeah, I mean, there's no way that Eazy died of AIDS though. And they always go back to that Howard Stern interview, which was a lie. He was just saying stuff. He wasn't being serious. Right. And no one else got it. I don't know if women or men are easier to transmit. But um I'd assume women would be able to get it pretty easily. But yeah, none of the women got it, so that's too many coincidences. And how quickly it would spread it generally because wherever if Easy got AIDS right, they were all messing with the same type of women. And those women were messing with, just probably their normal people, guys too, right? Not the ones that were just messing with the celebrities, but they're probably still messing with the guys back, in the hood or whatever as well. So, I mean, like, it's kind of just crazy. Like, that stuff would have spread, like, half the people would have been dead. Remember, they actually were saying that at one point in time. Remember, AIDS was supposed to be so, like, it turned into like a complete pandemic and just wipe out, like, these large while the population never did because I mean, I can't really get to that, but um, how do I not know some of this? Yeah, and like he wasn't taking AZT. If you look at the early AIDS cases, you'll notice that a lot of people were deteriorating so quickly because of AZT, not because of the having AIDS. That's why they extended the amount of like, oh, what's 10 years now? Because what was happening originally, why it was so low, is because they had people when they were giving them this AZT, which was killing their which was a cancer drug that was designed to kill cells, like a chemo type drug that was designed to kill cells and was just killing the people fast. And that's why they were deteriorating so fast originally. And then they in the 90s they dialed back the dose of AZT dramatically, and that's why people were living a lot longer. Can you really die of AIDS if injected? Well, you can't be injected with AIDS. You have to be injected by HIV. AIDS is acquired immune deficiency syndrome. The virus, is called is HIV. Um, uh, and then you probably not. I mean, I don't think there actually were people. Now I don't know if these are real or not, but there were people who actually did inject themselves like on camera with, like, claimed to inject themselves with HIV, but not get it. But I'm not, I'm not gonna get to that. I don't know if those were real or not, but I saw that when I was looking some of this stuff up as well. You deserve more views, and why? Yeah, I do. Who's this? I always posting remixes and stuff. But, hmm. I had to check out his channel later on. COVID-19 again. Dang, this got a lot of more views than other ones. Okay, I think this is it. Oh yeah, you can't see Mike Klein and Easy. I mean not Easy, but Ron Sweeney. See, crazy, crazy. Can't believe it doesn't have a million views. Well, one of the videos did end up getting a million. I don't know why the other ones didn't get a lot more. Well, I do know. Never mind. I do know, but yeah, we do need a little bit more answers on the Easy case. You're serious as mood. That's good. That's what I wanted. I wanted people. This is what I wanted. That's why I kind of open ended for people to seek their own answers. Because I mean, obviously, don't have all the answers. You know what I mean? They're getting into the information. Oh, look at that later, but yeah, yeah, that's the part 7 and part 8. I think I already recorded the views too, and these will come out probably separately, and I'll put these out when I get the chance.